Yes, hello, welcome along to the next edition of the Left Wing Back podcast. We've been rolling them out every 2 weeks now at this stage, just to give a bit of breathing space, I suppose, to myself and to the lads. And obviously, things are probably not hectic as such on I suppose the playing fields at the moment. It's kind of we've had a few games consecutively drawn McDonough, and then there's been 2 week gaps. So we just said rather than kind of I think just doing one for the sake of it, we'll just do it and try to keep it fresh. And that's where we're at. But we have had a good bit to talk about over the duration of last weekend, be it minors, and obviously looking ahead to this weekend, Carlow versus Down is very much on the agenda. So I'm joined by my two comrades again, Mr. Joe Nolan and Stephen Bambrick. The first thing we have to do is compliment Stevie on finally getting a broadband upgrade. How's that going for you, Stevie?
Well, no, in a half an hour. It's
Even
that's
20
normally
minutes
the length of time it
25.
takes you. That's normally the length of time it takes you to respond to one question.
after the local elections in the north there at the weekend, and when I won't be like that, I'll be answering politically correct.
Yeah, it's all changed here. So Joe has a new studio, I have a new studio, Stevie's new broadband. Madness. Okay, let's delve into this stuff. So first thing we're going to do is have a little look back at the Carlow versus Antrim game, the Joe McDonough, which obviously was the weekend before last. And Joe, I watched this in your company, over a nice cup of tea, I might add. Thanks for the hospitality.
Yep. A lovely box of biscuits.
Yeah. Weren't too shabby, I suppose. Yeah, you ate all of mommy, that's the only thing. But
I've all the signs of
it. So do I, and none of them, what's going on. But the game itself, I think we were pleased with the honesty of effort. We were in the game. We played well in I suppose patches. It was a strange one in the first 20 minutes or so, maybe even the first half, you could say, in terms of the overall intensity. It kind of, I don't know, was it a bit dead or something, Joe? Did you think?
Yeah, but I think some of that came down to maybe the style that we were playing too. I think if you looked at some of the Antrim games throughout the year in the league, and that they're kind of all action, putting up big scores, high tempo, and I think I'd say the management kind of deliberately wanted to take the sting out of that kind of Antrim running game and that momentum. And I suppose the wind was a factor there as well. So sometimes that creeps into lads' heads. I think our style probably didn't give Antrim a moment, didn't give them momentum in the game. I think we kind of dropped back. We crowded around the middle. We even dropped back further, very quite deep, and kind of we played with I suppose a smaller than normal forward line, but in fairness a very effective one. With Chris and Mouse playing further upfield, and we're trying to look and hitting them. But I think our style probably took some of the intensity out of it. I suppose, let's call a spade a spade. The lads were going up there to get a result, and they didn't. I suppose maybe they felt if it was going to come to a shootout, that's not what they wanted to bring. And I suppose they wanted to dig in and be in the game. I think they realised maybe the previous week against Kerry, that the game was gone beyond them, and that they were a little bit maybe loose and allowed Kerry to play through them. So I think that's probably why it wasn't at that kind of high tempo that we maybe were used to seeing. Because I suppose if it was at the higher tempo, there might have been the risk of the game maybe getting away from us.
I think, Stevie, the fact that we got a reaction to what was an abysmal performance against Kerry was a positive in itself. Yeah, the result, we would have liked, I suppose, to have got the result. It was always going to be hard to get up there, but when you get a performance like that and you see a reaction in your players, I think that is quite pleasing.
Yeah, we'll be expecting nothing less out of the boys, and I know I can have a game like the Kerry game, and literally, Kerry are that bit more up for it, or whatever, you can say what you want, but like that game was gone. Like the score difference, like the 15 points, right? It just was, that was the worst aspect of it. I was listening on the radio. I was back from there was a match. I got the time wrong, actually. I thought the match was a half an hour. I was going to miss the start of it anyway, but I was listening to Brendan and Terry, and it was just, you knew when these lads were in it against Antrim, it can go either way, and they're like, you're looking at Antrim, they're playing Division 1, and they're always the team that you'll know where their season is going when you're playing against them. And like the bookie said at 6 or 7 to 1 on, same as that Tipperary and what do you call them yesterday, Limerick. But the boys just, and they called on the radio, and I think the lads were looking at, they were at the match, was talking, they had told a couple of boys, said like the calls, couple of crucial calls, when they get Paul Cody and Jack McCullough, in particular, and everyone was saying the same, like that there were frees that went, there were no way they should have went against them, and they were the difference in the wind up, and just a pity. Look, the game next Saturday we're playing Down. We can still get back in it. They're depending on the results possibly going a certain way, and the lads will focus on that. But like Antrim, Corrigan Park, there's going to be I wouldn't say a game of two halves, but there's always an advantage playing away from the clubhouse or the dressing room in there generally. And the boys got back on the horse, we'll call it, and put in a performance. Just the performances are no good to these boys were playing county level hurling for the last 5, 10, 12 years. They wanted to win that game, and they left everything they could, and just a little bit of luck on the day, and they got hard line, and they would have changed the whole outlook of the rest of the two games against Down and Offaly now. And if they beat them, if they stay in it, they stay in it. If they don't, they don't. All they can do is worry about the two games they have ahead of them, and hopefully, if the performance against Down is as good as it was last week against Antrim, Down will have to come. And like Down are in the same boat as well. I think they've lost 2 games. This is going to be, I know you're talking about Antrim game, but I'd say this match Saturday is going to be, from a neutral point of view, if you can be neutral at it, I don't think you will be. You'll be on one side of the fence or the other. That it's good luck to whoever loses Saturday. They'll have a dead rubber in the last game, and you don't want that. Leave the outcome in the last game. There's just something hinged on it anyway. So, but look, as I said, Antrim games, they tell you where you're at. We were very good against Meath, very bad against Kerry, and in between against Antrim, very good. But just the standard Antrim are at. They got the 3 points. I think they got the last 6 points today. 5 or 6 points. I think got the last, and that's the difference with the Limericks yesterday as well. Garog Hegarty the last 10-15 minutes got on the world of ball, and these are the times in games when that we turn from a 1 or 2 point deficit to the opposite end, and that's where the bit of experience from Division 1, whether it's at the you're getting hockey in, and Antrim haven't got they've developed well this year in it, and they'll be hoping to get back into the Lee McCarthy next year, and the Carlow boys will be trying to put down to over that next Saturday.
So I don't think it's entirely in our hands though, lads, even if there is 2 results got. So Down obviously being Saturday and Networks Cullen Park at 2 o'clock, and then we've Offaly after that. And I think even if we win those 2, and I have to look at the table again, we're dependent on favours elsewhere. I don't know which one of you have this worked out, or if you have it all worked out properly, because they do provide headaches, of course. But to the best of our knowledge, whereabouts does this leave us if we do get a result in our last 2 games?
Yeah, I think you're right, Kevin. I think we need is it Offaly and Kerry are out this weekend? Is that right? I'm trying to think the other fixtures. We are dependent.
While you're jogging your brain,
Just looking at Kevin, the way I figured out last week was Carlow need to beat Down and Offaly, and need Offaly and Antrim to beat Kerry, and we go through in the head-to-head with Offaly. Now, and Down are probably in the same boat. They need a favour somewhere as well. Now, I don't know whether that's 100%. But if we need a head-to-head, we want to be in a head-to-head with someone we've beaten. So we don't want to be in a head-to-head with Kerry.
Mm-hmm.
And the score difference, probably the Kerry result will
so just to give
flavour that way from us.
The recap, 2 o'clock Saturday, Carlow versus Down at West Cullen Park. 1 o'clock Saturday, Kerry at home to Offaly. And then there's a game Sunday as well. You have Meath and Antrim. Yeah, and then
you imagine that'll put Antrim, Antrim should be home and hose into the final anyway. Antrim should be taking Meath at their ease, you'd be thinking there.
Yeah, because the following week there, Antrim are home to Kerry, and then you have Down at home to Meath, and we have to go up to Tullamore to try to get a result against Offaly.
And you're looking if Antrim are through to the final, then we're not saying they're going to pull the plug against Kerry. It could be a game where nothing to play for, do the rest of a few lads' injuries or that. But that's the thing.
I always found them kind of tricky ones because
they break your momentum if you rest lads, or and is it hard getting back on the horse? It's a tricky one, isn't it?
It really is, because I remember when Wexford played Carlow in football in 2017. Remember Bandy was all Wexford, And I think there was maybe a second string Wexford team put out, like, and I'm nearly certain that probably went against Wexford thereafter, especially when they came to the championship game, when they were back at full flight. So yeah, I think they are always tricky when that happens. So one thing you would like to see anyway, Joe, I think, is maybe changes a bit earlier, because it was something we remarked upon. How long was gone again before there was a change made against Antrim? I think it was late enough in the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think, I suppose we kind of referred to the point there when we're looking at the game, and maybe afterwards, and even I think Tom O'Lally referred to it in his own interview afterwards, about kind of, maybe near the end of the game fading out of it. And I don't know, I think we only made 2 substitutions in the game. I think our second one was actually in injury time, 2 minutes into injury time, and I don't know. I suppose it's easy from the outside looking in, especially this year anyway. That to make maybe, to use our panel. I mean, it's be very rare that you would see an intercounty team, finishing, or say with 60 odd minutes going, that they'd still have the same 15 to start with. And it was very hard, in fairness to the lads, the 15. It wasn't even nothing to do with how they were hurling. It's just, as we seen it yesterday with Tipperary, it's just so hard to maintain the physical effort. Never mind, a lad going bad or a lad going good. It's just impossible to maintain that physical effort over 75, 76, 77 minutes. Again, you add in injury time on both halves. And I think, I don't know, I suppose, it would be something I think maybe that might help us in terms of keeping it fresh. And I know it's kind of that time. It's that one, like, do you take off a lad, when he's just about to, as I say, empty the tank, or when he's emptied the tank, if you get me. And I think it's getting that timing right. And I think, again, like I said, from the outside looking in, it might be something that maybe came against us against Antrim, that the lads were kind of out on their feet. Whereas Antrim had that bit of freshness in early, maybe before us. And, like I said, it's nothing to do with how the lads were hurling. It's just the physical effort required to hurl at that level just takes so much out. I mean, we see it in other sports. Like, you see it in soccer. Just to give an example, like, if you flick back through the soccer games the weekend, after 67 minutes, 70 minutes of games, like 2 and 3 subs going in to freshen it up, you need that kind of freshness there. And I think it might have came against them. Maybe, that's only, as I say, an opinion. I just think it might have came against them in terms of just freshening it up and maybe seeing out those last few minutes. But you can't fault the effort of the lads. I thought it was just immense. They were immense against Antrim. They really left everything out there. And we mentioned about the couple of decisions, and Chris had a goal chance as well. The goalie pulled off an excellent save as well. And little things like that can turn tight games. But you'd be hoping that they'll learn from that and push on against Down at the weekend.
The one thing I'm actually going to do over the next few weeks is, do you know the way the old school thing of take off a corner forward? It's nearly still a thing with certain teams, right? I'd nearly go as far to say in hurling, do you know the way in football now in particular, your wing forwards, if you can get 40 or 45 minutes out of both of them, like, you're going fairly well, because it's just so demanding. And especially with our style of play, we're bringing back wing forwards a good bit and bringing back midfielders, and there's a lot of moving through the lines and stuff. And if you look at, I suppose, the energy that a full forward line is now using in comparison to what they used to, I would say the systems are completely different in terms of what your capacity is like. And I just need to have a look there to see how many wing forwards are making way, or how many in around the middle third in general are making way in comparison to what used to. Because it's always a corner forward, regardless of what the fuck happens. A corner forward used to get the curly finger first, like, you're not winning the ball around the middle. And next thing, it's day to the corner forward, like, as if it's his fucking fault. But that's the joys of it. That's the modern game, as the fella said. But I would agree to an extent. We've remarked upon this a couple of times, where when you have the boys in near the goal, certain styles suit certain teams and all. I just hope wherever we're at for the next 2 games gets us results, like, because you just feel there's more in them, and it is frustrating, and it's not us kind of living in an unrealistic situation to think that we can be doing better. Like, we actually can and should be doing better, but I'm sure, like, that's no discredit to the boys there. Like, they're doing their best to try to get the results out of them as well, ultimately. So that's
I think there's a level of frustration even with the players, trying to pinpoint it themselves, and the management, obviously, they're frustrated with, and that's the hard one to crack. Like, when we spoke to Paul last week, and even to Tom in his comments on the papers and that, either kind of trying to get their finger on that level of consistency, and it's frustrating for them because they all know that there's a huge amount, there's huge performances like we saw in the Antrim game, and they are capable of delivering that on any day. I think that's the exciting thing, I suppose, facing Meath and Offaly, is that we know that they can deliver a big performance. And like Stevie said, and you said, take care of our own side of things first, and hopefully we might get to look at the rub of green, as I say, to and the results go our way then to see us through.
What you have to remark upon, irrespective of the inconsistent form, I always find with this Carlow hurling side and down through the years that on a big day they've proven that they do stand up.
Yeah,
and they always
absolutely.
put in an effort, even if the result isn't always going their way.
No.
When the chips are down, there is a reaction, and that's a big compliment you can pay any side,
That's it. Well, that's exactly it, yeah, 100%.
So that's that one, and that's the Joe McDonough. So we minor and Celtic Challenge stuff over the weekend, Jordan. I know you're mixed up with the Celtic Challenge side of things, and you saw a bit of the Padraig final there as well, I think. Talk us through that.
Yeah.
Am I calling that the right thing, by the way? I'm not great with pronunciation.
You're right. You're close enough. Your Irish is as good as mine. Yeah. We saw we were up in Meath as well. Myself was up at the Celtic Challenge squad, and we unfortunately had no joy at the weekend in that, and we lost out to Stevie was actually mentoring beside me. We lost out to a well drilled, good Meath team there in that competition. First off in the Celtic Challenge, so that kind of brings our involvement in that competition to an end. It's great competition. A lot of gives development to lads maybe who are going to make up the step up to the minor panel next year, or maybe just were unfortunate to not make the minor panel this year. So a very honest bunch of lads. We had a tight panel this year. I think we had about 20 lads in total would have hurled for us over the course of the couple of games, the 3 or 4 games. So, but they're great lads, brilliant bunch of lads to work with. So, and unfortunately the results didn't go our way. But look, that's hurling, that's life. The minor, I was even talking to young Billy Nolan there this morning, and he said himself in school here, that he, said about couldn't get his head around about losing it. How they lost the 6-point lead. It was a great performance. I came in about 5 minutes into for the end of the first half there, and it was nip and tuck, kind of 9, 10, 11 points sort of thing all the way along, one for the other. Second half, then we pushed on. Carlow pushed on and went 7 points up with about 7 minutes to go. Meath were always pressing, but Carlow always had their number and were picking them off. Picked them off from the start of the first or the start of the second half. A few brilliant scores across the board. Shane Kelly got one, Alex Delaney, and Quirk. There was some brilliant scores, just to pick a couple, and brilliant play as well. And then I suppose Meath went for broke then. They moved their number 3 up further up the field, and he probably that master stroke probably proved the win of the game. I think he got 1, if not 2 of the goals, or it was involved with him, and won a couple of frees as well. He was very hard to handle, an excellent player. And then the winning score then just came in injury time. It was and I said to Billy as well, had your man got the ball, I'd say 99 more times, you probably never hit a sweeter point, curled it off his weaker side, his left hand side from out near the sideline, and popped it over. So yeah, the lads were disappointed. They had one more chance to draw it, but just they lost the ball into a tackle, and Meath turned them over. But I suppose it was a disappointing way to be beaten. Kind of having been so far ahead at crucial times in the game. But I think it was their 7th championship game of the year. So at the end of the day, while they don't have the silverware, it's been a wonderful year for those lads, and an incredible amount of work after going into them. That's an incredible amount of games there that they got in terms of championship games. And I think they have to take that. I think there was 30. I can't remember what was on the panel there. I think there was 32 or 3 young lads there, and we had another, like I said, nearly 20 lads with the Celtic Challenge. So minor level is looking well. You come out of Park Talton on Saturday, and you'd actually be, sometimes you question where we are and what's going to come behind our current senior team. But looking at that on Saturday, you'd have to be, you'd be happy, because even though we didn't win I think our hurling is going in a good place,
That's the job. Well done to you two as well with your coach, and anyone that goes in and gives the dig out, you have to compliment them, lads. They're only doing their best at the end of the day, regardless of what's going on. Any team, any level, under sixes, at the club, up to senior, Celtic Challenge, whatever it is, fair play. And as I've come to know myself in the last week or two, you put yourself in the firing line, and that's you have to suck that up every now and then, But that's the joys of it. You'd rather be there putting yourself in the position than on the fence and not trying to do something about it. So that's the joys of it. So fair play to you two. I'm going to move things off topic to soccer for a minute. So Padraig Amond got promoted with Exeter out of League Two, Stevie. That's fantastic for him. I mean, he's been some servant, hasn't he, to every team he's been involved with, be it hurling, football, soccer, you name it, man. He has it all, and a top guy as well.
Yeah, with Newport, we've seen, his the FA Cup, he'll go down history as one of the, he'll be talked about with, there's a niche market in all these competitions, who scored the most goals in cup competitions, but I would have been texting his father, Pat, there now and again. With Newport, their cup runs were savage, playing Leicester, Man City, Spurs, all these. The league then, they just fell short a couple of times. Late goals went against them, and I was nearly. I gave him a message on Facebook there some nights, another late goal going, and then I just noticed this issue with Exeter, and I said it to Aaron there lately. Exeter were doing the opposite. They were the team was getting the late goals, and that's why they ended up getting promoted. And we're looking at Saturday there, a draw would have done them in the wind up against Port Vale. And Port Vale needed to win to make sure they got into the playoffs. With Forest Green, they kind of fell asunder there. The last 4 or 5 games where they had their work done, they had their points in the bag. Would have been great to finish off with a trophy, but he's, as you say, a top guy, and his wife Queen is a wheeling there from Tinrail, and sure, you couldn't have, if that young lad to have he's going to have heavy pressure on it. Wouldn't say pressure would be the right word, but the lineage, if there were going to be in horse racing terms, but 2 cracking families, and brilliant that, and I don't know where he's out of contract at the moment. I was see Foz on Twitter yesterday say, "Oh, contracts, we look to be out of bed today." And said that all the Exeter lads were on the beer yesterday. Their season is over, but you go back to the day above in Tullamore or in Portlaoise to beat Offaly in the minor semi-final. Along was it 15, 16, 17 years ago, and just coincidence there, Laois and Offaly are in the minor final this year. You talk about big days out for counties like Carlow, Laois. Derek McGrath up there a couple of years ago with Laois, and lads were wondering what was going on there now. They have an idea, what's going on, but I'd be interested to see when Padraig stay with Newport now, or does he go somewhere else? He's done a lot of his coaching
Exeter,
badges.
Yeah.
But he's on loan still. He's on loan, so will he go back? His old contract. And I'd say if he does go into coaching, whatever he does in the next couple of years when his playing career is finished, them goals he got against Spurs, Leicester, Middlesbrough, all these teams, they're going to be a foot in the door that, his name is out there. So I wish him the best luck for next season, and hopefully if he can stay with Exeter in the League One, and if he's not, we'll be following him. You just notice when he does change clubs there's always, if you click onto it, Exeter City or Newport County, there's always 30 or 40 lads from Carlow suddenly are following that club, whether it's Grimsby Town or Hartlepool, and it's a nice to be looking at the results in the lower divisions, and that Man City or Liverpool win the Premier, and whoever will worry about the bread and butter stuff as well.
Yeah, on certain unnamed TV subscriptions, you can see League Two games live as well, which is great.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen that.
We won't speak of those. I've never saw them here, by the way. It's always somewhere else. But
in my house.
Yeah, and just staying with soccer as well, lads. No Boys in fairness got to a Leinster Junior Cup semi-final, and they were only barely beaten there by North End. Those Leinster Junior Cups are very hard journeys, on any team. I think there was 6 minutes of additional time or something, and they lost out. This is an extra time, 6 minutes into additional minutes of extra time, and they lost out with a late goal there. But fair play to them, they were playing great stuff.
The Oak boys were querying that a bit alright, 6 minutes extra time, and
Dean Kelly is some player, lads. He's a serious player, and he scored a great free kick there yesterday too. But they're after giving it a fair go of it. Like, and it's just mad. They played a game there the day Carlow played Loud, and I was just thinking Broderick was playing that day, and isn't it mad? Like, just in the space of 12 months or whatever, the way things can turn. Lads, I think that's almost it. Unless there's something else I'm forgetting. Anything else to add?
No, just
Sorry,
Steve. No, just only the only thing I would say is just to happen to be there on Saturday morning, waiting to go with the boys in the bus, going off to Meath, and just was great. I think there was 6 teams left. Netwatch Cullen Park on Saturday morning, various age groups. Great, like brilliant between hurling and football. Seniors and all the way through underage. You know what I mean? It was give you no pep in your step when you see it. Like, there's a lot going on, in the county, and it's great to see it. It gives you an old boost, like, So that's all.
Just to actually tie into that, those coincidence. The Carlow Colts, they had the underage had a 5K there on Friday night there from Dr. Cullen out to Oak Park and back in, and I don't know myself now, but there was like the groups that were playing matches on Saturday, they walked it, or so a lot of them were playing matches. So Scasto, the winner was a German, and Michael Kelly there from St. Albans was either second or third, and he was pushing the buggy. They done it in 19 minutes, I think.
Oh, Jesus.
Did you correlation it to that in the buggy? Bet you not.
No, he wasn't anyway.
The Bobby.
He does that the whole time. He'd be a cousin. I think he's a cousin of Decky. No,
he is. He's Tuffy's brother, Eddie. Tuffy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, but
he's a good runner. In fairness,
he's a very good runner. But is that kind of like a handicap race there, where he has to carry the buggy to make it a bit harder? But that young lad of his, or it was a boy or a girl, they're after
winning the 5K in a buggy.
Yeah, it'll be hard to maintain that pace.
I see what they call it. Speaking of that, and another man who's well known in GA circles is that John Kenny, John from Tullow. Does the physio work in that. John often, if you follow John on Twitter, he's the same, pushing the young lad in the buggy. Jeez, he's doing scandalous times, like times you'd be, to the pin of your collar when you were in peak fitness to try to keep up. Then there he is pushing the buggy and smiling.
Maybe it's you can't go unless you bring the child with you.
That's it.
Okay,
Get quick.
Improvise.
Yeah.
Last but not least, I almost forgot. What do we think of the New Jersey, lads?
I like it. Yeah, I like it. I don't mind it. Yeah.
The player fit one is probably the yellow sleeves look a bit tight. They look like Aussie Roads. You can't really see them. They look probably. I've seen a couple of lads the other day now, and they look better loose fit, I think. The red shorts then is a bit. There's mammies going around worried about the colour catcher. I'd say. Will they run into the bed sheets? I don't know. It's always something different. Like, I think the hurlers will probably wearing them Saturday, will they?
Yeah. Well, every jersey I wear is player fit anyway, and if it is loose fit, it becomes player fit. So it makes
but I tell you, one thing from our end, I hope the numbers in the back of it are easier to see anyway, because some there are.
Between that now and everyone wearing a white helmet in the full forward line in hurling.
Only 5 of them there in the forwards at 4 or 5 of them. If James Dale goes back in, whoever he does, please God, be a nice problem to have if you're calling the wrong level. But as actually TJ Byrne said one time, when Joe Hannigan have a white helmet, to be 40 lads out for white helmets, and then the next week Joe Hannigan's in a yellow helmet and there's mammies going mad. What's going on here? So Joe has gone over. I'd say he went through every colour of helmet was going, and young lads want to wear the white helmet, stamping like some Mouse and Chris Nolan. These lads are wearing them too. So their lads are an old doorstep, and lads want to be like them. With the numbers in the back of them, hopefully they're a bit better than they were.
Actually, try these things. Like, I mean, they try the jerseys. Like, sure, look, they had to go with the new sponsor with the new, the Southeastern University thing. So, I suppose change it up and see what happens. Sure, look, they can always change it again next year. It's like them all. Yeah. Sure, that's it.
Liam Hayes was going to change colours in the whole at that time in 05 whenever he came in.
Rebranding. Maybe we're rebranding.
Yeah. We'll see what the scale is. Gentlemen, thanks a million. Just a reminder to everyone, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. We're on Apple, Spotify, and all those platforms as well. We won't announce when we'll be back. It could be next year, it could be the week after. We'll see the way things pan out. I won't let myself to a cross yet, because if you can't commit the time, there's no point in making empty promises. That's what we're all about. But listen, Joe, Stevie, thanks a million. Appreciate it.
No bother. Take care. Thanks.